So, yes, Alex is saying the trade deadline was so underwhelming. But, Clint, we knew this, though. We knew going into the trade deadline the Dodgers were not going to do much because they didn't need to do much. The whole point was they get them all in the offseason coming into the season. So not a lot of need was needed at this deadline.
Well, I mean, we know what the team needs is to get healthy and to have Mookie play at his, somewhere near his capability. Teoscar to get back to driving in runs, Freddie Freeman to be consistent, Max Muncy to be back, Tommy Edman to be hitting a baseball with a little more authority. But there were some areas, fringy areas where they could improve. Like they did not need both of James Outman and Estuary Ruiz on this roster. So they remedied part of that, of course, with the outfielder edition, the guy all of us had on our bingo cards. And here's the full recap. I'm sure we'll see the screen a few times, but you see Brock Stewart, a pitcher. We'll talk about him in a second. But Alex Call of the Washington Nationals, again, absolutely not somebody I know. I'm not deep. I'm not rich in Nationals lore.
I didn't even know who that was. I had no idea who Alex Call was, which is on me. Like, that's on me. But I was like, who's Alex Call? But I will say this. I'm not surprised that James Outman got traded. Like he just has not been productive. He had a really, really strong spring training a few spring trainings ago, and he hasn't really materialized into much. So I'm not bummed about it. I wish him the best, obviously, but I'm not bummed that he was traded. Brock Stewart, I mean, Stu has been welcome back, Beef. He's been good for the Twins, and welcome home, I guess. But again, I wasn't expecting anything massive that the Dodgers did. But this is what I took away from this trade deadline, Clint, is the National League around the Dodgers got a whole hell of a lot better. Yeah. And I think that our competition just increased a billionfold. The Mets got a lot better, the Phillies got a lot better, and the Padres got a lot better. And those are the teams, obviously, not to take anything away from the Cubs or the Brewers or whatever, but those teams, I think, are teams that stand in our way of going deep into the postseason. Yep. And those teams did some shit, and they got a lot better. Not to say the Dodgers aren't great, not to say the Dodgers won't get into the postseason, obviously, not to say the Dodgers can't get back to the World Series, but the teams in their way got a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that's part of some of the frustration for Dodgers fans on this trade deadline day is they saw the Padres get a lot better, nipping right on the Dodgers' heels, only 3 games behind them in the National League West at the moment. And to see them add, I mean, they kind of added up everybody there. You get another closer just for funsies with Mason Miller, Ryan O'Hearn added to the mix there.
He's just not another closer, Clint. Mason Miller is like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude's a beast, and maybe he ends up moving into their starting rotation next year. We don't care about next year yet. I care about this year right now. Let's do this. We'll talk a lot more about our fears for the rest of the competition around us a little bit later on in the show. I do want to maybe help settle some trepidation for Alex Call, the outfielder they got from the Nationals. Made his debut in 22. He's kind of bounced. Well, he not really bounced around. He debuted with the Cleveland Guardians, traded over to the Nationals. He's kind of been sort of a play anywhere fourth outfielder dude, but he rates as having plus defense in the outfield, and that is an area of concern for this team. The defense in the outfield has been a bit on the shite side at times, so they need some help, some assistance there. Dodgers general manager Brandon Gomes did speak to reporters after the deadline, mentioning that they kind of view Call as more of a fourth outfielder type, mostly because, hey, let's be real, let's be fair. You even praised the dude on Tuesday's show. Michael Conforto has been a lot better at baseball of late, hitting, I think he has an OPS approaching 900 over his last almost 30 games. He's doing better. They're not going to take Teoscar out of the lineup. They're not going to take Andy Pages out of the lineup. So to have Alex Call either be some sort of defensive replacement or somebody who can act as a platoon to Conforto.
To me, Alex Call is signed for his offense. James Outman could not hit.
Yeah,
right?
well, there's that. There's
James Outman cannot
knowing
hit.
who he's replacing.
Outman could not hit, and Conforto could not hit up until the last 2 weeks, right? So I think if you look at Alex Call from the Nationals, you put it in our rundown. Over the last 2 seasons, a combined 297, 388, 432 over 102 games. I will take that offense over what Outman and Conforto were giving us. I said the things I had to have at the deadline were a decently offensively productive outfielder, enter Alex Call, a bullpen arm, did not get, both. But whatever.
Well, he got Brock Stewart if he is not a closer.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. He's not a closer, but he's been electric.
Dustin May going to the bullpen, and now Dustin May's a Red Sox. So I guess that I got, for the most part, what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, for the greater part, Dustin May, we'll talk about him in a second. But the final thing on Call, it's a net positive for the Dodgers. 26-man active roster. Also, this team needed to jettison some, I don't want to say dead weight because that's not fair to James Outman, but they needed to jettison some players on the 40-man roster because guess what? The Dodgers aren't done at the trade deadline. They get to add Blake Snell to the roster on Saturday to face his old mate.
That's the best acquisition you could possibly want, right? That's the best acquisition you could. He would have been. Let's say Blake Snell was in the trade market, or let's say Blake Snell was going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Everybody would have been clamoring to get Blake Snell, and the only team that could get him is us, right? Yep. So that is the biggest acquisition. You have to look at it as a trade deadline acquisition because basically he's been on the shelf the entire season. So look at it as if the Dodgers acquired him at the deadline because they did. So that to me is a massive upside positive.
Now, people aren't definitely going to be as excited about Brock Stewart. I want to talk more about Brock Stewart a little bit later in the show. We're going to spotlight him in one of our next segments. But going back to this screen again, getting Beef, as you call him, Beef Stew, B Stew back. Great dude. He has lived a life since his last time donning the Dodger uniform. Went to one of those pitching labs and kind of reinvented himself now as a very hard-throwing reliever. He has his Tommy John surgery out of the way. He's good to go, and he has been electric coming out of the bullpen for the Twins this year.
The Twins,
mostly had pretty good bullpen, but 2.38 ERA over 39 games, career high 39 games, and the important thing for him is this fills that Evan Phillips-sized hole in the Dodger bullpen, and it means you don't need to rely on your Will Kleins, your Lou Trivinos.
I agree with you, and I'm happy. I am happy for Brock and Christy Stewart coming back. I'm sure that they never wanted to leave LA to begin with. I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine you don't ever want to get traded away from LA. But they're back, and he's much better, and he's reinvented himself. Obviously, we knew him as a starter. Now he's a guy coming out of the bullpen that, as you mentioned, a 2.38 ERA. He's throwing gas. That's probably a better role for him. It replaces Evan Phillips as much as you can replace Evan Phillips in the Dodger bullpen. So I'm fine with it. And again, as much as I respect James Outman, I want him to be successful. Like, that's a good move. You needed to get another bullpen arm. You needed to get somebody that could hit. And maybe that's Call. And it's got to be better than what Outman was doing in terms of production, right? Again, no disrespect, but the Dodgers are in it to win it. Yeah. And I think they got better. I know everyone wanted this massive splash, and we wanted Mason Miller or Johan Duran, who, by the way, I'm blown away that he got dealt. Yeah. Like Ryan Helsley, those types of things. I get it. Like, you're just like, holy shit. But I think the Dodgers got better, and they didn't.